actually started like in what it's like sixth or seventh grade. I wanted a guitar and I couldn't afford one, and so I tried to make one, and it was a disaster, of course. And I kept trying through high school and whatever. And when I came down here to the U of I was a rhetoric major at the U of I ran into the local violin maker, Dave Karen. This was in '67, and I told him what I had done, and he needed help at the time, and he asked me if I'd work with him, and there's no question, yes, indeed, so, and I worked with him for about 3 years, and by that time I dropped out of college. Had to decide whether I wanted to teach English or do what I do now, and that was the decision. And so I was worked for him for about 3 years. Then I worked for two other violin makers up in Chicago uh, at Carnes Music in Des Plaines, and Siegfried Schuh and Ahmed Saeed. And then Chicago was a little much, and I moved back to Champaign. And I worked for a school music service again in the shop, and then I left them and opened up a shop in my garage. At that time, that's when the bands were getting their big box trucks and the big square, and they would tend to pull up to my garage and park in the alley, and so the neighbors complained, and I had to move the shop, and so I bought a small house up on North Neal Street that was zoned commercial. It was right by Purity Baking. It was 813 North Neal, and I was there for a long time, and that's where most of the bands would drop off their stuff. They'd pull into Purity's parking lot and unload. And like REO would come in the middle of the night when they're on tour and drop instruments off, and I would work all night on them. And they'd pick them up in the morning, and there they went. And especially during the Tuna tour, that was one where we really had a thing going there. That worked out really well because I got all of their instruments. I did the setup work on all of them, changed all the strings, and did the intonation on all of them, which is something that was a little different at the time. If one person does the intonation on all of them with the same machine, when they hit that first chord, it's tight. It's not. It doesn't sound like a zillion different instruments going. You hear beats and everything else. It just sounds solid, and that caught on.